morning. My name is Christian Lee. I've been in this school about 1.5 years, and I think maybe you guys took my class before, so maybe I don't need to introduce myself to you, but still, for new people, I want to introduce myself. I've been married about 27 years, and still, I think I have a healthy relationship with my wife. And I have 2 daughters. They already graduated from college, and one is at graduate school, and the other one is already graduate from the graduate school, and she got a job this year. And one is in Phoenix, the other one is in Boston. So this Thanksgiving we all were separated, and then, but we tried to spend the time together, even though we don't get together, but still. So I went to the Phoenix to spend the time with my younger one, and then for Thanksgiving. So I went there on Wednesday and came back on Sunday. So my wife, she worked on Thursday and Friday, so she flew to Phoenix on Saturday morning. So we had Thanksgiving dinner on Saturday, and we came back. I'm really interested in study about second generation of immigrants. So I tried to visit the immigrant churches and then try to mobilize the immigrant church to missions. And then because I'm really interested in mission, so surprisingly, some ethnic churches has provide a lot of opportunity to go on the short mission trip out of the country, but other ethnic churches, not that much. Maybe they are not established well in terms of finance and in terms of economic social status. So depends on churches, right? Even though same ethnic group, in the same ethnic group, but still a church are really active in missions, and they try to provide a lot of opportunity to get exposed to missions, right? And so that's my interest in my study area. And then actually I've been working with the families, so try to train them and then take them to the mission field as a family. So it's been pretty good, and because of the pandemic, and we stopped. And then recently, I planned again and talked to the local pastor in Mexico, Tijuana in Mexico. So short-term mission is coming next week, the second Saturday of December. So we already decided a church to go, and then so I think that December is our first trip to the church, and then try to figure it out how we can help the churches, and then the church can serve their communities. So maybe as I did, and then I try to go down once a month, and then kind of work with the churches and try to help the children's ministry and other ministry. I know it's a one day trip, but maybe it's not that effective because of short-term mission, and we don't know the language very well, and there's a really limitation in communication, but still try to set the long-term relationship, even though it's short-term. So usually I did, right? And then I just picked one church, go and continuously like 10 years like this, and then it worked out. So I hope this time the mission trip really helpful for the churches and really good for us. I mean the team. So if you are able to go down, if you want to go down and see, and then just let me know, and I could give you opportunity to see, and you can see their life, and you can see how they worship God. So another thing is that from next year, I'm going to help out a small seminary school in Mexico. So maybe once a month when I go down, and then I stay longer, and then I teach the people who really want to learn the Word of God, and then people are really prepared for the ministry. So that's another work is coming. And then another my ministry is created during the pandemic, and I try to select the people who have students who have really potentials of leadership, and then but they are poor, they cannot go to school, and then we had a selection process, and then try to select the students and provide the scholarship and living cost to continue to study and then prepare to be equipped to serve, and then from the junior high school to college, and so that's a part of my ministry. And then we are still we studied supporting 3 peoples, and then we provide, depends on their financial situation, and then we provide some financial help, and then let them study, and after that they may serve the community in the local church. So that's my vision, and to raise the local leaders, and then to kind of building up the family. That's my main ministry. And usually, I used to work at church, serve at church, but I stopped serving in church. But instead, I really focus on missions. So if you have any questions, and please let me know about family ministry, about family mission trip, about mission trip, about other things. And that's my brief introduction. And then I really happy to see you guys in person at the classroom, but unfortunately, it's been almost 2 years that we cannot see each other, and then just we communicate and talk through the recording. It's really sad things, and I hope that the time to see each other and talk and discuss is coming soon. This class is about educational leadership in administration. Maybe it's not a specific theory how to teach, how to run this class. It's not about that one. So this is about how we're gonna run the school. And I don't know whether you guys have experience to kind of involve in organization and company. So not just doing the part of work, and then you can see how to manage your company and organization. Maybe I was serving in one of the Korean mission agency last 10 years, and then there is a lot of things going on, right? We have to run the office, and we have to take care of the supporters, and we have to take care of the missionaries, and then there's a lot of things going on. Okay, So like the organization, mission agency, and then also school is a little bit different. Characteristic, school is really different, and school has a different purpose purpose, and but still depends on how you see the organization at the school, and then you can your way to operate the school is different. So this class is really provides think about a lot of different component to of the school, and then how can run the schools considering each in component, and then how can we put together, how can we exercise leadership. So what kind of leadership is really effective for the schools, and then what kind of program, and how you evaluate, like all kind of things, right? And this is not a curriculum design, this is not a learning theory and teaching. Like, this is really related to run the organization. So this course seeks to understand the schools systematically, not just one part, okay? Not the teaching, so whole system, school system, right? To operate schools efficiently, so that the school may accomplish the purpose of education. And so this class and provide the essential component that are needed to run school. Okay, what kind of component we need? Or what kind of program we need? So it's not how can we provide programs, and how can we curriculums? How can we supervise students, and so in any specific programs that student needs. And so if you wanna accomplish the purpose of education, how can we create the specific program that really necessary for now, right? Like that. So we're gonna see the each component there, each component that really needed for the operate the school. So each component needs student, you guys understand schools with a systematic approach. So maybe you can learn the current status of education and the issues in education. Okay, what kind of issues, and what is it doing, what school is it doing now. And so basically, you keep the basic idea of this class, and then eventually I want to challenge it and then evaluate the school educational systems, and then maybe you don't know, and maybe you are exposed and you can see during the high school and college, and then if you are getting involved in the leadership positions, student leadership positions. But anyway, so this class eventually challenges students to prepare for the future education to get along with the societal changes. Societies keep changing and changing, right? And how can we catch up in terms of education? And it's not, so it's not easy to think about it. Education is not just we can change one year, and then we can change the next year, and then, but if you keep changing, and there is no consistency, and then there is no, so you cannot provide a basic foundation of education. So how can we set the basic keep the basic foundation of education, and how can kind of catch up to the changes, and then provide right knowledge and skills, right? There's a big things and big issues. So basically, this course is, we're gonna think about what kind of leadership we need, and then we're gonna think about what is administrative work, and how can we have kind of a relationship, and how leadership is influenced on each component of the school system, and then how can we put together and to run effectively, right? And that's a part of the kind of a description of this class. And what about course objectives and then desired student outcomes? First of all, I want you to understand that education is a whole system at school. It's not a part. I know it's administrative work is a lot, but sometimes education is really focused on teachers. When teachers are good, and when teachers have a good qualification, and maybe education may be better, not all the time, right? And that is the teachers is whether they play the major role in education or not, and then still we have different parts to support teachers and support other things, right? So we need to think that and school is a whole system, right? How can we support education, and how can we communicate each other? And sometimes we need to talk to outside, like parents, and right. Just think about the school as a whole system, and so not teaching students inside the class. A lot of people really think about school education is just teaching inside the class, but it's not very. So I want to understand the education as a whole systems, right? And second object is to help a student understand the essential component of fulfilling the purpose of education. So what kind of part needs, right? Component needs to run the school. Maybe, you guys know there's a custodian needs, clean up, and there's admission, is a secretary, and then kind of work, and sometimes a principal is there and teachers there. What else? Right? Maybe they are the visible kind of components. Visible. What about budgeting? Okay, this year budget is how much? This much. What about next year? Budgeting. We cannot see the budgeting. Maybe we write down and we spend this much this year. That's but it's not exposed to students, right? What about the special program they need? How can you evaluate the school system like this? So we don't. Sometimes it's behind the visual component, and there is something to support and to do, right? That is so we gotta learn make a decision and communications, like a lot of different things we need, and then so we gotta know that what kind of component is needed to carry out the purpose of education. And students can evaluate the current status of education and look forward to the future of education, right? So maybe you couldn't see a lot of issues for education if you while you learn. You guys learn while you are in high schools, and maybe you learn while you are in college. So what kind of issues and what kind of system you are exposed, and then you can think about it, and then what is the better education? How can accomplish the purpose of education with the better systems, right? That's one of our purposes. So I want to have the critical mind to kind of an educational system that you are exposed. Maybe there is a cultural aspect, but I don't know whether I can talk about the cultural aspect. But still, if you grew up in China, in Korea, Japan, and they have a totally different educational system compared with America, right? Maybe Latin America is different from North America, and the European countries are a little bit different from North America, and maybe every country has a different educational system to support education. So maybe I want to think about what kind of education system provided by you guys as schools, right? And then maybe you can evaluate, and then you can see how can we make the system better. So maybe if you are interested in school in education, maybe you can go to graduate school, and maybe you can be teachers, and then if you know the kind of component, and then it's easy to communicate and adjust to their systems. Here is let's see. Here is a book that you can see, and one book is really provide theoretical frames, and another one is kind of it's not the theoretical, but it's really you can think about in practical way. So if you read both of the books and study both of the books, and it's really helpful. So I picked up two books, and then one is the Fundamental Concept of Educational Leadership and Management, and this one is kind of an old version, but you can, if you are interested, and then you can buy the new version. So I know new version is really expensive, so that's why I buy old version, and then there is some changes, but not that much, and then for basic, maybe statistics are changed, maybe, but basic theory is not that changed much, right? And another book is that this is really introduced as theoretical frames, and then a lot of different theories, and then you can see the whole pictures. And not a specific kind of application and insight, but if you have the foundational kind of theories, and then it's easy to apply, and then you can bring, if you have the theory, and if you go into the system, and then you can see what is the school system is like that, and then you can evaluate with your theories that you have in your mind, and then you can have your own way. And another way is like it's not not much about theories, but it's a very practical way, and they introduce school leadership and administration. So it's a topic is kind of it's similar, but approach is really different. But I want to have two books, and then it's good for you. So if you are really interested in education, I hope that you can buy go to eBay, maybe Amazon, and try to get the not the recent edition. Recent edition is really expensive, like more than $100. So you can, if you are able, affordable, and it's okay. But if you can, just buy used to begin, look through and what it's about. You can see. And another book is the education. That's a recommended. So second book is the school leadership and administration. So you can see that one, and there is a recommendation articles and books, and the education leadership and relationally, and there's a study about not the system, little bit different approach, and then maybe it gives you insight with what the trend of the nowadays trend. And another one is a culturally responsible sustaining education frame, and then that is really interesting. So I hope that we can show about that one. There is materials you can download there, and because you guys, if you are from the different culture, and then you can see what is the cultural aspect. If you are interested in cross-cultural education, and then I think that this one gives you good insight. So I want to really deal with this topic because I'm really interested in cross-cultural education. So let's see how it works, right? And try to make a space, and then share about how can we run run the schools in cross-cultural context. That honestly gives you another extra insight. Here is class schedule, and today we're gonna talk about basic what is class like, and then concern about the education system. And then second day is we're going how can we see the schools, like if we go to other countries, and but nowadays they think about schools as a business, it's not an educational institute. So I don't know, and depends on how they see the school. It's a little bit, in my perspective, so when I was in Korea, school is a little bit it's different from others organization, right? There's another factors. Keep changing. I want to keep this way. I don't know whether you guys comfortable. And so second week, we're gonna talk about the school as an organizational system. And after that, and then we're gonna see the specific component of the schools. What kind of a component we need to consider to operate schools, and school culture, organization cultures, and who's gonna learn their class and leadership, and keep on and off. I don't know what happened. And there is a kind of a human relationship in there. There is sometimes how can you relate to each other, and if you go to organizations, human resources and take care of all things, and then there is, and then different part of the schools, and how can you communicate, right? And also administrator and teachers and principals and districts, right? And communication and conflict management. how can we communicate each other? Communication is really important. And then what else? And then there is authority and power, and school is, if you consider an organization, and there's a hierarchical power, right? And principle, and above, and there's a board like this, and then how can you use the power, and then how can you influence each other like that, and then we gotta evaluate schools, and we gotta evaluate programs, we gotta evaluate teachers, we gotta evaluate that's evaluation we need, and not just for the school, student evaluation, and some things we have to change, and how can we make a decision? What's the process? And then how can we change the whole things, right? There's a basic component that maybe we need to consider to operate schools, right? So there's a basic idea about this class. Maybe I try to make space for the learning to the school in cross-cultural context. So let's see how it works. It doesn't work this one. Let me get again. It doesn't work. I don't know what happened. Let's see. Kind of now PowerPoint is pages, and then I try to close it and long computer again. Yeah, sometimes I know connection is not good, but it happens. But it might be it's really maybe, I don't know, if you are interested in kind of administration and running some organization and anyway, kind of you want kind of a management groups, and then it will be helpful, even though it's not related to schools. But this one is kind of if you are interested in education, and we supposed to need to know, right? And even though you are not a principal, even though you are not in the work at the district, and then there is kind of a system is there, and then school is there, and then school leadership is there, sometimes the board is there, and then district is there, and superintendent, and then a lot of support group is there, district, right? And then there's a state level of the kind of, and after that, and there's a federal level of the supervision. So we gotta know the kind of whole system. And maybe, yeah, I like it run this way, but sometimes you gotta know the legal power of it, chain of the legal power. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to open the okay, so, okay, let's go back. And so if we see the society and it's changing a lot, right? I visited Korea about in 5 years, and before that in 10 years, and then last before 15 years I visited twice, right? And there's a lot of changes. Sometimes, and I can see that the streets totally changes and the buildings like when I was in Korea, it never gonna be disappeared, but nowadays it is gone, totally gone. And sometimes, and I try to find a place, and then my friends gave me direction, but I don't understand because I don't have any sense of direction because of big changes. What about society? And if you go to any other of the countries, and then you consider McDonald's, right? Wherever we go, I consider Burger King is like a lot of American restaurants. And so it's a society just keep changing and changing. And then how scholars and describes, especially the futuristic scholars who study about future, and then how they kind of describe the societal changes. And Alvin Toffler, he said, was a third wave. I don't know whether you guys heard of it. And first is all the way agricultural society, and the second wave is what? The industrial society, and the third wave is kind of informational society, right? There is a kind of change, though he said that he wrote about the third wave. Later on, there is a powerful shift to era, like that. And then David, and then he said mega trend. What is a trend? And then how can it influence the society? And what is a trend in the society? And then you consider he in his book, and he shows and kind of a trend. And trend, and then he describes, and then he's talk about the future. And then what about Freeman is a flat in the world. The world is flat. Have you heard? The world is coming out, the globe, right, round, but he said that the world is flat. And then, as I told you before, and where we go, and McDonald's is there. And nowadays, I think about the advanced technology, and even though you don't have to go there. Maybe we use the social media, you go there and then we can see what happened in the other side of the world, especially Iran's and China's and a lot of protests there. But even though we are not there, we can see the clips, we can see the articles, so we can learn what's going on in the societies, right? Here is something happened like a gun accident, and then people who assess the medias and they can know. Yeah, it's a globalization with the transportation, advantage of transportation and advanced technology, and then really fast, right? It's really going fast, and then it kind of make the old network is narrow and narrow. It's we are nowadays the world is world is closely knitted together. I know sometimes some countries control the internet and then social media, and then it's hard, and still some part of the world they don't have the internet. But if you go to all the people who live in Himalaya and then they still have a cell phone. It works, but just they cannot use the landline phone. How can you install the whole lens to on the top of the mountain? But still, wireless phone, it works, right? Just society is changing now, and there's a lot of young generation, and they created their own culture and shared it to the YouTube and Facebook, maybe Instagram. So TikTok is one of the popular kind of clip webs, right? And so we can see where this is really small, and then but still there's their own things. So one of the trend is society is going to where nowadays it's kind of really more naturalistic. Think about their nation first. Maybe it's really natural, but still we need to have the global perspective. We cannot live by myself. We need others, right? And that is a part of education there. And we try to help them individual to be successful and serve the community and the globe, but still we gotta work for themselves, their families, their community, for their countries. How can you balance together? And and when I went to Korea, and a lot of people have a different perspective about the previous president, Trump. And my perspective is different from their perspective. Maybe some part, I agree with some part, but think about their context is different. My friends live in Korea. There's a Korean context to see the world, because really the context is really tightened with their livings. That's so how can we raise people for their own countries and then for the global societies? So we gotta know that how it changes society, right? And then we need to see how can we design the purpose of education, and how can we implement the purpose of education for the student. Here is some consideration to think about education nowadays. And there is a between education and economic status. And I don't know whether you guys see that there is a total incomes, and then dark green is so Caucasian, white people, and little lighter dark one is black, and middle is next greenish one is Hispanic, and then what about the all the way bottom is Asian, and they try to compare each ethnic kind of racial group how much they spend on education, and then here is we can see that and money and how they finish their educations, and then here is less than and less than high school completions. So what about how much you have, how much you make every year, and then the children's gonna also kind of try to link to their graduation, high school graduation. So so total is like $225,000. That the family makes. The children is like what? It's not easy. They have less opportunity to finish the high school if you make it very low in overall. And it means that what's the completion of education in high school is closely related to their incomes, family incomes, right? Here it is, and around 29,000 if they make it like that in one household of your Caucasian family, right? And make like this money, and then it's really hard to finish high school. Here, and what about black is a little low, maybe 21,000. So what about Hispanic is 25,000, and then Asian is 26,000. So if you make like it's a really low income level in America, it's hard to support their education, and their children it's less opportunity to finish the high school. Like if they make around 25,000, less than 30,000. And what about the high school? And if they make over 30,000, usually they could make finish the high school. This just think about how much each racial group need to support their children's education and their living. And like white people is like $35,000, and then they make like at least $35,000, and then their children usually finish the high school. What about the Asian? Asian is like 32,500, and their children will finish the high school. There's an income is a little bit different, right? And what about least one is black people is like $27,800, and if they make that much, and they can support their children's education. And that is, think about associate degrees, and then it's not a college, and then this one is what? Associate degree is a 2-year, and like a college is about $38,000. What about Asian with $45,000. It means that think about and they need more money to support. What about what's a college or higher education? And usually what's a Asian people is what? 69, almost $70,000, and then the children finish the college and graduate schools. Meaning that they spend more money on their children's education. Compare with the other people groups, and white people is like 54, almost $60,000, it's $10,000 higher. What about, and overall, if the family makes like $55,000, then they can support the child college education. But realistically, it doesn't make sense. That's the average, right? Think about when you send your kids to college and how much they need for tuitions. In California, if they go to college, in state college is about how much? Tuition is how much? It's almost half of the UC, right? UC system. So usually for the families, if you want to send the student to the UC and then think about living cost versus dorm, and then think about tuition, just both. It's almost about $30,000 per year. But think about how can you around $55,000 support the children. That's why there's big issues. And there is government support, Pell Grant. And if you have low incomes, and they try to support tuitions, part of living costs, and then they don't have to pay much. That's why they can they can finish the college. But if you are in middle class, like around more than $80,000, and then they don't subsidize for your children's education, then they have to pay out of their pocket. It's hard. If you live in an apartment, it's maybe if they live in 2-bedroom apartment because they have kids, and then how much they pay right now. It's a 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom is almost nowadays it's more than 25,000. Depends on the area, but still. And what about cars? What about living cost? So I calculated all expenses, and then around, if you live by yourself and live in 1-bedroom apartment and then live by yourself, minimum you need around $30,000 per year. And then apartment, and then you have to pay insurance, and you have to pay all the utilities, and then for your living. So that's a minimum, right? That's a statistic though. So, but we consider from this statistic, and if the parents make more money and the children have more opportunity to finish the education, higher education, means that the children have more opportunity to expose others to do something. And so that's why it's hard for the low-income family for the family to send their kids to college. And without the government support, it's not possible. It's not possible, right? And just think about the Asians spend a lot of money on their children's education. maybe. Sometime when they, I don't know how much you guys knows about the American society, and then if the children get involved in sport, how much you gotta know how much they spend on that. Sometimes you don't know. I know my daughter played tennis, and then some of them is really the whole kind of friends has extensive training and coaching, and then go to the tournament, and then they spend at least $2,000 per month. You think about travel experience, expenses, and also coaching expenses, and all kind of stuff, more than at least. It's not just playing at the court by yourself and with the parents, right? And when you go to it's a lot of people wants to go to Ivy League, right? It's really prestigious. Think about how many people are from the prestigious private school. How many students? Do you know how much they spend for high school and junior high school, all kind of stuff? It's hard to compare them kind of money that Asian families spend. I know who has really have money, and then they can send their kids to private school. Private school education is totally different from the what? The public education. So for this graph, this kind of analysis shows that a family has more incomes, and then the children can be successful in terms of education. It doesn't matter whether they got a good job or not, but still in terms of finishing the school. And people are thinking about what's going on right nowadays, and then a lot of people, how can we provide better education, and how can we make students good citizens, and then how can we help them, right? There is a try to reform the education system. And this is America, it's not this is a recent kind of a reformation, try to reform, try to improve the education system. And there is three waves. First one is like around start from the mid-80s, 1980s, and then so really focus on rating student performance and teachers' quality. That's the recent kind of reformation of education. How can kind of raise the schools student performance? Okay, we want to raise the student performance. I think so. We need a better teacher, and that's why. And that's one of our recommendation there. So these help and increase the high school graduation and teachers certificate requirements. And then I don't know before, but if you want to become a teacher, and then you need to get a teaching credential. So even though you study education, and then if you want to teach in high school and junior high school, you need a credential. And that is kind of improve their teachers' quality and teachers' performance. So, and they try to raise the students' performance, and then initiate longer school days and years. And then they try to make the competence test, and standardized curricular and promotion criteria for students. But nowadays, I don't know. And then if you fail in certain if you fail, then you're gonna retake the class, right? And when I don't know, I was in Korea and there's no fail. Maybe your grade is fail, but still move on. First grade, second grade, third grade, or if you get an A, F, but still move on. But one guy we support in Mexico, we supported one guy in Mexico, and then in my organization, and then there's once the door is really wide, and then he can apply for college, and he got accepted, like 70% of the students got accepted. And then this is a certain school, not every school. This is a public college, and then they have a system though. If you wanna move on to second years, sophomore years, the school required you're gonna pass the first year, and then there's a test and certain level is there, and then if you cannot meet this quality, then you cannot move on. Different system. So if you fail, and then they can, I heard, and then they failed some classes and they cannot go up, and then you're gonna stay one more year like that. In America, I don't know. I never heard around me, and then people, I never heard from my kids, and they fail, and they cannot move up to next class, and then maybe there, but they didn't tell me, but still, I never heard. Usually there is a makeup class, and then they can graduate, and they can go to next level of their class. That is first wave. What about second wave? Second wave is like a late 90s, and then here is, and they view the school, the Reformation view the school as a basic unit of educational productivity, and made them for the focus for improvement. And Beijing unit of the educational productivity, right? And really emphasize change in the capacity of building for professional development of teachers, and governance that brought teachers, parents, and other members of the immediate community into the decision process. Okay, we need some people and discuss together. We gotta decide, because it's not only school's job. That's what. And Beijing unit of educational productivity, and therefore we need other myself and reference. That is a little bit. That's why nowadays there is a PTA meetings, and then parent they get together, and then how can we support the students and like this, right? And the issues are high expectation for student performance, but not sufficient coherence of the highly complex system to function well. They trying to do it, but just think about society. It's a really complicated and multifaceted society. But school system is not enough to get along with the society. That was the issues. That's the 90s. What about third wave? So I want to see the kind of brief about 80s, 90s, and now, and how they change the education system, right? That's the purpose. And then look at it. The third wave is like systematic reformation, called systematic reformation, and then comprehensive change, the focus on many aspects of the system and policy, integration, and coordination around the clear set of outcome. Okay, finally they realized that, okay, it's not just teachers' quality, it's not just some program. We gotta work systematically. How can we put together, work together and connect together, right? And so there is a charter school is coming out, and here, what is a charter? Have you heard of charter school? And from that time, private sectors are becoming more involved in the running the support of our public schools. And charter school is a public school. Each public school is freed from many of the policies that apply to district operated schools. And we call, so a lot of school systems are connected to districts, but charter school is a state public school, but they have freedom from the district policies. They have their own. That's try to changes and try to see that they are diversity and then diverse and try to support in different ways. And then that is a kind of a changing now. So we consider a lot of different schools out there. And still in government and then keep talking about the 2000s No Child Left Behind Act, and then mean that just think about the students who are really cannot afford education and by families, and then who is from the minority, and then let them not be harmed in the class, and then try to support, right? And that is how can we support the kindergarten, and then how can we qualify with the kindergarten teachers, and there's a lot of bills, and then passed, right? And then they try to keep the teachers more qualified, and there's a continuous kind of kind of effort to improve in education. You can see, and then there is a significant kind of effort in education. So I put in a note, and then if you go and then click, and then maybe I put it to the website, and you can click and go in, then click it, and then you can see what it's about, basic reformations. And here is, currently we gotta know what kind of issues in education that we are facing. Maybe if you are not here, and then maybe you don't know, but if you are here and you grow up here and went to school, and maybe you can see it. But we can see a lot of happening in schools, like a gun accident, right? And that's a part of your issues. So here is kind of most people agreed, and then I searched it here and there, and then most agree with the kind of these issues, and then first of all, what is the deficit in government funding for schools. Nowadays, the fund is cutting and cutting and cutting. And so one of the policy, I heard that if we government fund like 20 million per year, but if you don't use the all money, and government cutting the fund, and that's why school has to use the fund. Sometimes one of the problems is that it's not for relate to sometimes they remodel the buildings and a lot of different things. I don't know how beneficial for the student, but still. But because of the cutting the fund and sometimes my kids was in elementary school, and then school asked us to bring some stuff they need. copy papers, and they use a lot of copies, and then especially when they are in preschool, and then tissues and all kind of stuff. That is a big problem. Another one is a decline in school safety. Do you know gun violence in schools? How many kids are in Texas and how many kids are died? I can see nowadays, and school has like a big fence, and it's not easy to approach to getting inside, right? To get inside. Try to build up the kind of security defense, but I don't know. That is even how much it helps. And challenges with the technology in education. During the pandemic, and teachers were not ready to teach through the online, and then there was chaotic. And think about the efficiency of the education, and so with the support, support of the technology, and then we can do a lot of different things. That is a kind of big challenges for students, and sometimes for administrator and teachers. Sometimes there is a controversy of the charter schools. I already told you charter schools and voucher programs, and how they wanna do, what they wanna do, right? And problem with the common core curriculums. Also common core curriculums, and they try to set the English and math and through the first grade to 12th grade, and then you gotta pass a certain level of your class. Not everybody, but still you gotta meet the criteria to pass the class, right? And some people can be really accelerate in certain, but sometimes school cannot provide the level. Sometimes people, it's really hard to follow the level, right? I know, so if you go to high school, and then there's an AP class, and different classes they provide, and then, but I don't know how effective. And I don't know the decrease teacher salaries, and then I don't know how much they make, but if you go to district, and then nowadays they open how much they got. But I don't know the meaning exactly, but still teachers want to kind of support their living, and they ask more, right? And because to think about the current expense of your living cost, and that is one of the issues that people say about what about emphasis on the standardized testing. So how can we evaluate your students? And there's always a standardized test every year, at the end of the year, and they test. And then we can see how, where they are in terms of their achievement. It's not, so maybe everybody has a different ability to study, and everybody may have a different, as a method of study, but we cannot meet everything, right, for each student. That is a problem, because if you think about class size and how many students are in the class. And argument about teacher tenure. So some teacher, some district, and then, we're not gonna tenure the teacher, and they review, and every 5 year, every 3 year, and then, like that. So that is kind of issues, and then maybe sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Think about, and we evaluate teacher, and then you gotta, not qualified, and then they gotta develop their skills, and they catch up to the rise of changing of the society. If you are not, and they need to develop their the technology skills, all kind of things, but they cannot meet, and what happened, right? Nowadays, is a teacher shortage. How can we provide teachers for schools? And that's one of the issues, and the bullies in schools. Elementary school and high school and junior high school, and a lot of people are bullied. My kids, she was in elementary school, she got bullied. Anyway, and it's really traumatic for students. How can we prevent? Growing problem with student poverty. I know school try to help them and provide free lunches and like that, but still, as we already saw to the chart, and then it's hard for them to keep it up, right? And what about the school overcrowd? Too many students in the classroom, like elementary is like, I don't know how many people are. And kindergarten was around the 20s, and going up is the 30s, and high school more and more. This school is too crowded. And like high school, then my kids rent is like around 2,500 at a big school. But my daughter went to the college, the whole population of the students was around 1,600, 10,000 people less. Their class size is like 8 to 10 people, usually. I know some classes a lot, and usually they try to around 8 to 10, maybe biggest one is 15, like that. Each class size is different, right? And student mental health challenges. And maybe, I don't know whether you guys, how much you know, and then you could see a lot of happening, and they are mentally, they're not healthy mentally. And then my daughter, she was in college, and they said a lot of people take the medication. They go to counselor, and they are depressed, and then they are taking medications. They cannot handle the situation in schools, all kind of stuff. So there's mental issues. What about maybe they say your parents not involved enough. But nowadays think about the sex education, gender education. The kindergartners, I don't know how much they understand. But if you nowadays, and maybe, I don't know whether eventually go in that way, but later on, maybe parents don't have a right to teach their kids. Already, some country has like this. They cannot teach their children about sex and gender. They cannot decide. Anyway, that's I don't know. And think about how much parents get involved. What is the limitations? Parents has, I don't know, but it seems like nowadays and a lot of things that parents can do, there were schools and what's the government take away from parents. So parents has no right. And too many schools are being closed. That's why a lot of overcrowd and lack of teacher innovation and outdated teaching method. This is related to teaching styles, teachers. That is a kind of a summary of the basic issues, and then still we try to reform the education, but still there's a lot of issues coming out because the society has changed, people are changed, right? And in that situation, and then how can we run the school effectively to meet the purpose of education? So leadership is really important, and administration is really important. They gotta work together, right? And so we need to know that the education is not just from the teachers. We gotta think that education, we gotta think as a systematic approach, right? We gotta see the education as a systematic approach. That's a part of your class that really emphasized. So this is a class that we already give the direction of the class, and then try to understand how is it changing the society, and then what's education is kind of changing, and then think about the financial aspect, and then family income, and then children's education, and then how they try to reform the education. That's a brief, and then I want to let you know that not like from the 1800 and 1700 and from the it's not a kind of a history, but still recently how we America tried to improve the education, right? That's a brief history, and then still every year and by district and cities, and then state, and we're gonna vote, right? Related to educations, and then this time too. And what about, and generally talking about the issues in education. Okay, that's a part of that's the basic things that how we can reform education, and how can we kind of overcome these issues to run the school effectively, right? And accomplish the purpose of education. That's basic things that we have to keep that in mind. All right, so today's kid was PowerPoint turning on and off is kind of really annoyed, but I hope that you guys have patience and then try to be with me, and then let's see how it goes next class. So have a great week, and if you have any question about this class and question about mission trip, let me know. Okay, God bless you, and see you next week. Bye.